Hi everyone, so I'm back again today with my May favourites as the title suggests, but before I get into my favourites I just want to let you know that I'll be doing a Q&A as my next chatty video, so if you have any burning questions leave them in the comments box below and I'll get round to answering them soon. And now on to the favourites. So the first one that I've got here, it's actually an old favourite. It is the e.l.f. Precision Liquid Liner, and this, I just kind of thought that you'd be sick of me using the Essence one, so I dug around in my collection to see which liners were in there gathering dust, and I came across this one. So I've a sneaky suspicion, like, unfortunately, that it's actually discontinued. I went looking for it a while ago and I couldn't find it on the e.l.f. website. I know they do have another liquid liner available, and I remember seeing this on Amazon, so yeah, I have a sneaky suspicion that it's discontinued, but I'll try out their other one. But what I like about this is that it's really black, it lasts all day and night, it doesn't crack or fade or smudge or anything of the sort, and the liner brush is actually kind of sturdy, so I do find it's a little more user friendly than the Essence one, but very cheap and very good. So the next favourite is another drugstore pick, and as you can see it has been well loved. I'll stick in a picture now of what it looked like before carnage struck. But yeah, this is the Wet n Wild contouring palette and I have it in the shade Caramel Toffee. So as you can see here, you've got a kind of light banana-y shade, and then you've got over here a warm brown contouring shade. So I primarily use this particular set, the Caramel Toffee set, when I'm tanned. I use the yellow shade to set under my eye area, and I also use it, you know, underneath the where I contour to give that edge a bit more definition, make it pop a little bit more, and because the powder is yellow toned it gives a brightening effect. I also like to use this when I'm pale. I just really like how the powders perform. They last really well and they're matte. So I take the yellow shade on a big fluffy brush, and when I'm pale I press it all over the skin to set my makeup in place, and it does just that. The contouring shade, I'll use this solely when I'm tanned, and I use it more as a bronzer because of its tone. I think it's just, you know, more suited for that purpose. It's $5.99, so you know you can't really go wrong there, and I think I've had this set since last August, so it's, you know, it's great value for money, and it's still going strong, just about. This next product I don't hear too many people talking about. I picked it up a couple of years ago and I think it was actually relaunched, and that's how I discovered it, but maybe they talked about it years ago and they don't anymore, but it's fantastic. So this is a powder. It is the Urban Decay De-Slick Mattifying Powder. The packaging's gorgeous. When you open it up you've got a mirror inside. It used to have a sponge but I lost that. No big deal, I use a brush anyway. But yeah, so as you can see it looks to be a white powder. That's not the case. It's actually a really light lavender shade and it claims to be translucent. I don't find it to be. I find that it does leave a little bit of a cast on the skin, but I mostly use it when I'm pale, so you can't really see it. But when I'm tanned I have noticed the difference, that my face will have matched my body before, like after foundation, before I've used powder, but not after powder. But again, it's not that big of a deal. I just go in with my bronzer and then, you know, everything matches and it's okay. In saying that though, I am quite heavy-handed with my powder, but it's just something that I've noted. It mattifies the skin really well. It's long lasting. If you've got oily skin, I'd say give this a go, try it out and see what you think. I don't think you'll be disappointed. One other really random thing that I love is that I've used up one, you know, previously, and I find with a lot of other powders, when you've kind of hit pan, the powder becomes loose, it starts to break up and ball, but this one didn't, so I could actually use it all. Like, you can't really see it, but around the edges here there's like a tiny little bit of powder left. So yeah, I get to use up the whole pan, which is great. So the next product I have is this one here, and it's a highlighter. So this is the Wet n Wild Megaglo highlighting powder in the shade the Sweetest Bling. So it's kind of like a pink highlighter. It almost has that duochrome feel to it, you know, when something looks one colour in one light, and then depending on what way the light hits it, it'll show up another colour. It's kind of like that, but just one shade. So chrome. Like, it has a chrome feel to it. Is that what you call it? I don't know, but it's fantastic. It just gives the most gorgeous sheen. It's so pigmented, like it's unbelievably pigmented. The devastating thing though is it's limited edition, so if you can get your hands on it, do. I was sent it out during the week, and like, it's already in my it's already become a favourite of mine. I love it so much. It's from the Queen of My Heart collection, and Wet n Wild's available in Dunnes and a lot of pharmacies around the country, well, here in Ireland anyway. On the press release, I think it said this was $5.29, so I mean, a bargain. The next product I have is an old favourite of mine. It is the Sleek Blush in the shade Rose Gold. As you can see, it's very appropriately named. It's the most gorgeous shade of Rose Gold. It's not matte, it's got lovely golden shimmery flecks running throughout the blush, and I think at this stage I must have like almost every shade available from the Sleek Blush range, and it's all thanks to Claire Delise here on YouTube. I seen her using them years and years ago, and I just had to have them all, and all these years later I'm still using them. They're just blushes that I always reach for. They're highly pigmented, so you need to use a light hand, but they're so gorgeous. This one in particular, because of the time of year, I'm getting a lot more use out of it. So I'll apply this to the apples of the cheeks and then blend it back into my contour, back towards my hairline, and sometimes I won't even bother using a highlighter. I'll let this product shine on its own. You kind of don't even need to use highlighter because of how shimmery and gorgeous it is. It's just, you know, it's just simply phenomenal, and so cheap as well. So yeah, so this next product is actually quite new to me. I only picked it up this month. It is the Wet n Wild Photofocus Eyeshadow Primer. So I popped into my local Dunnes, as I mentioned before. It's one of the places that stocks Wet n Wild here in Ireland. I'd popped in looking for the Photofocus foundation and some eyeshadows because I'd planned on doing a brand focus video, and I've got everything else in my collection from the brand that I need for that video. But yeah, then I spotted this primer, and years ago I used to have a series on my channel called Beauty on a Budget, very similar to like a brand focus video. I picked a brand, I bought a full face of makeup from that brand, and then done a video on it, and I used to always try to keep the look under €30, hence the name Beauty on a Budget. But yeah, I remember I done a video on Wet n Wild, I think it was at least maybe 3 years ago. It was in 2013 or 14, and at the time I remember using foundation and powder as my eyeshadow primer slash base, and I think I would have only done that if there wasn't an eyeshadow primer available. Now, whether there wasn't one on the market or my local Dunnes didn't stock it, I'm not sure, but anyway, came across this recently, love it. It's in a squeezy tube. I've heard it's comparable to the Urban Decay Primer Potion. I mean, they've got the same kind of texture and consistency. They both last really well. I don't really see all that much of a difference between the two. This is only $5.79, so you know, there's a huge price difference, and I think that's really it. So if you can get your hands on this, yeah, do try it out. Next up, I've got an eyeshadow palette, and I didn't actually try out a lot of eyeshadows this month aside from this palette, not that were new to me anyway. So this is the Too Faced Natural Love eyeshadow palette. I was at an event for the launch of this palette this month, and I was really kindly given a palette to take home with me, which I was thrilled about. The Too Faced Natural Love palette consists of 30 shades in a range of finishes, but what I love most about this palette is that it's got, a white at the very top corner there and a black at the very bottom corner. A lot of the time I find that eyeshadow palettes are lacking these two shades. I like the white to highlight, or not even a white, but just a pale shade to highlight, and I like a black to add depth, and this palette has both. It's a little awkward to show you, but I'm really impressed with the selection of shades in this palette. I mean, you've got some lighter shades, some darker ones, some pops of colour, some transition shades. You know, it's a palette that you could use for daytime makeup. It's one that you could use for nighttime makeup. You know, you've got these really unique dark shimmery shades along here. Yeah, it's a really lovely palette. Some of the lighter shades, the lighter matte shades, I do find you have to spend a little bit of time building them up in order to kind of see them on the eyes. But the shimmery shades are out of this world. I'll show you a few swatches now in a minute. I've already done a tutorial using this palette and I'll link it below if you haven't seen it. But yeah, it's just one I've been using non-stop since I got it. It's limited edition, which is a bit of a pity, and it's €72, which hurts my soul. But it's a gorgeous palette. Do you need it? No, absolutely not. It's just a neutral eyeshadow palette. If you love makeup like me, you've probably already got something very similar in terms of shades in your collection. If you want to invest in a palette and you don't have a lot of neutral eyeshadows, then this would be a good one to start with, but it is pricey. Last but by no means least, I have another highlighter. I love my highlighter, and this palette here is an absolute gem. It's the Penneys Pure Glow highlighter palette. It's just something else. Inside you've got 4 shades. You've got a kind of frosty icy white, you've got a golden shade, you've got a pinky kind of like a blush shade, and then you've got this kind of, I suppose, bronzy golden shade down the bottom. What I really like about this is, well, first of all, they're all really pigmented, but they're multi-purpose as well. Like, I will mostly use the 2 of these as my highlight. I mix and match, you know, bit of here, dip in here, sure, why not? But yeah, so anyway, I basically use these 2 as my highlighters. I sometimes like to use this as a blush, and then eyeshadow. Like, I just love this palette so much, and it's only €6. €6, you really can't go wrong. And that brings us to the end of this video. So some products were new favourites, others were old favourites that I just happened to rediscover. And yeah, if you have any favourites for this month, please leave them in the comments box below. Let me know, because I always love finding new products to try out, and you know, it might give other people an insight into which products are good as well. And if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and comment and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you soon.